Welcome, everybody, to Victory Circle Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Wilson. Today, my guest is Ashley Pereira, joining us from Florida. How you doing, Ashley?
I'm so good. Thank you so much. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you. So Ashley is the founder and owner of Free Skin Company and Ivory Gold. Ashley is a devout mental wellness advocate, and she's very, very passionate about what she does. Ashley, how does your story start, though? What did you want to be when you grew up?
As far as what I wanted to be when I grew up, growing up, I was going through abuse in my household. So I didn't really have the opportunity to think about a lot of normal kid thoughts, like what I want to be when I grow up. I've always known that I wanted to help people. I wanted to teach them to be better, but I just didn't know how. And I really don't think it's been until recently, like the last couple months, where I've finally realized, okay, this is how I help people and I teach them to be better.
You know, I know that you have a phenomenal story about mental health, but in your own case, what kind of mental health issues did you go through?
Yeah. So as a result of my childhood abuse, up until the age of 27, 28, I had lived in my trauma for a really long time. I went through 6 years of abuse from age 9 to 15. I developed severe complex PTSD that was undiagnosed for almost 2 decades. I also suffered greatly from suicidal thoughts, suicidal attempts. I'm glad at this point in time that, there was God watching over me and there were, his army watching over me, because Lord knows how many times that could have been different. And as a result of the trauma as well, there's a lot of like deeply seated anger issues and control issues and insomnia and a lot of other symptomatic health problems that came from my trauma and that came from my PTSD. I had really severe adrenal issues. I was like pre-diagnosis, adrenal fatigue. My body was shutting down. I have suffered from seizures and mini strokes, short-term memory loss. There was like points in time where I was not allowed medically to drive for about 8 months because my body was just shutting down with everything that my trauma was putting me through. I was a non-functioning human basically at one point in time.
Wow. So let me ask you this, if you don't mind. Was the abuse like beating, or was it sexual abuse, or what kind of abuse?
Both. The majority of my abuse, my abuser did sexually abuse me for 6 years. I did receive physical abuse as well, especially towards the end of my abuse as I got older and stronger physically and mentally, and I started fighting back. That did turn into a lot of physical abuse, unfortunately, on top of like mental abuse and emotional abuse and the manipulation that goes along with that too, unfortunately.
Yeah, was this somebody inside your family or somebody outside the family?
Yeah. It's really unfortunate that, especially with sexual abuse, the majority of the time it's either a direct family member inside the home or someone directly associated with the immediate family. In my case, it was my father. So it was someone that I did not have a break from, that I could not escape from, that, my only escape was to go to school. And that's where I felt the most at peace, where I dove like headfirst into music and I could like really lose myself in something outside of the home, because whenever I was home, I was, it like straight into the abuse, unfortunately.
Right. I'm so glad that you mentioned that, you have a relationship with God, you believe in God. What I try to convey to people is that, it's not just a mental health issue, it's a spiritual issue.
Yes. I totally agree with that. I could not agree with that more. I did not grow up with God in my household. I did grow up going to synagogue. My grandparents and my mom's side of the family were Jewish, and I was very close with my grandparents. So I did attend synagogue with them on Friday nights. I went to Hebrew school, but none of that was about a relationship with God. It was more about following rules and doing what you're told as far as like the rule book of the Bible and the Old Testament was concerned, and following tradition. And so I did not grow up knowing God, right? Really having a genuine one-to-one beautiful relationship with him. And I definitely didn't know Jesus. And it was not until, unfortunately, like right before my last suicide attempt, when I was about 27, roughly a year before that, I started attending church. And actually, I think it was that same year, I started attending church with my boyfriend at the time, and he was a Christian. He grew up Christian. We started attending church to like fix our relationship, right? It was the last, let's do something, find some miracle to keep us together. And we started going to church, and instead of fixing our relationship, I was the one that was starting to be fixed. And a lot of my trauma that had been suppressed and feelings that I had never come to terms with out loud, right? Because at the time I was this like angry Ashley, kept to myself. I was a hermit. I didn't talk to anyone. If I did, it was just like pure gross behavior. It was not the me that you know today at all. And as you know, as we were going to church and I was learning more about having a one-on-one genuine relationship with the Father, which was so big for me, coming from an abusive home by my father, it just poured out so much that I had suppressed. And I just went all in with wanting to feel accepted and loved and genuinely wanted and needed. And that's, you know, I'm 7.5 years, like this year is going to be my 8th year on my healing journey. And I'm 8 years into my relationship with God and Jesus. And it's having that spiritual connection has absolutely changed my life in every single way, starting with mentally.
That is so powerful. There are so many people that need to hear this message that, just have no sense of hope at all. And hope comes from the Lord.
Yeah.
Freedom. And freedom comes from the Lord, which gives you access to the peace, the happiness, and the joy. So, without that, what do you do, Ashley?
I mean, right, without that, before I had that, I was very controlling. And whether you come from a traumatic background, trauma situation, or any other type of mental health, even if it's temporary, right? Because we're humans, we have emotions, we all experience happiness and sadness and anger and depression, whether you want to admit it or not. These are normal human emotions and behaviors. And if you don't have that spiritual North Star, like what I'm proud to have now, your first thought is to control the situation because you think, right? Just from what I know from my experience and talking with so many other survivors, you think that because you feel this way, you're unworthy. And because you're unworthy, you have to control the situation that you're in so that you can feel like you're worthy and that you're doing what you need to in order to get what you need from man, including yourself. And that just causes more issues, right? But like that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. And it just makes life so much harder when you're trying to control everything. I cannot even tell you the OCD that I had before. And I feel so free now without having to worry about, okay, I have to control this and right, every area of my life so that I don't feel anything.
Yeah. That's so true. And there's something else that I want to mention too, about, the attack that people are under, especially when it comes to
Yeah.
depression, anxiety, and other things like PTSD, is
Mm.
that when you go through traumatic situations, right? The enemy uses demonic forces or demons to constantly remind you of what you went through. And
Yes.
you're constantly being tormented by these thoughts. And I think that, it's so empowering to know that you're not responsible for these thoughts, that it's coming from the
Yes.
demonic realm.
I agree. I agree completely with that. And I do want to give a disclaimer, right? You are never over your trauma. If you've gone through a traumatic event, you are never over that. It is a lifelong healing journey. And as much work as I have put in the last 7.5 years, I get hit with PTSD still. I get hit with my trauma. I mean, as recently as last night. And I am okay to be honest about it, right? I'm not going to talk about very specific situations, but I am more than happy to say, yes, I do work. Yes, I'm happy for the first time in my life. I love myself. I value myself. I have a relationship with God. I know where my strength comes from. I know who to go to when I feel weak. I know who controls my life, and it's not me or any other man or woman on this planet. But you're completely right that those forces, those negative thoughts, those demonic forces, like they do not stop, especially the closer you get to God and the
Right.
closer you are to feeling accepted and whole and complete through the Spirit. Those forces just come on stronger. And I will admit right now, I feel that. I know and I see that the closer I get to what I need to be doing and to being whole and to serving God the way that I need to, I feel those attacks all the time, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. And let me ask you this, Ashley. Do you have dreams about past events?
Oh, so that's really interesting. It's always something that I feel really nervous to talk about out loud.
Yeah.
Um, I before I really began my healing journey, when my PTSD was at its worst, I did have a lot of flashbacks, whether I was sleeping or I was awake. The majority of my abuse did take place at night, even though as the abuse continued on, it was all the time. But because my abuse was normally at night, especially in the beginning, a lot of my triggers would happen as soon as the lights went out. As soon as I tried to close my eyes, and I was not a good sleeper. I'm still not the best sleeper because of that, but I don't normally have dreams and flashbacks from the past. I do have dreams of things that I don't understand, and they are foreshadowing to things that will happen, that have happened. And it's really interesting. It's more of a, here, let me give you this tool that will make these feelings go away. And like I'm showing you the good that's going to be coming, and those things do happen. It's almost like I am being protected from those thoughts. They're being replaced with something good, and I try to pay attention to them as much as I can.
Yes. The reason why I asked this is because, when my mother was going through depression, and she was depressed for like 13 years, she would have these horrific nightmares.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to go into the detail about these dreams. She told me a few things, but not too much. And the reason being is because these demonic forces, they don't want you to say anything. They want you to suffer in silence.
Sounds just like the abusers.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Right. And that's what they are,
Mhm.
But I had to do some study on dreams. And, The interesting thing about this too is that when you're going through extreme depression or other conditions, you can't remember these dreams on a nightly basis. You
No.
no.
Yeah, it becomes a part of your subconscious almost. And just like, if you have any traumatic event, or if you are really deep in depression or some other mental health issues, your body and your mind immediately goes into fight or flight, whether you realize it or not. And the majority of the time, the first thing that it does is it suppresses bad memories and bad experiences so that you can survive through what you need to, which is breathing and eating and drinking and living day to day. And even though you don't remember these things because your body's doing its job, that's what it's meant to do, is protect you from that, it's affecting you in other ways where it comes out in dreams and you don't understand them, or night sweats, or you wake up in a panic, or you have panic attacks, you have anxiety, maybe you have anger issues, you are triggered by things that, for me, I have triggers that I am a severe person when it comes to holding integrity, right? So if you tell me I'm going to be there at 5 o'clock and you're not there and it's 5:01, my trauma just it kicks in. And even though now I understand that, it's still my body's way of protecting me in a really interesting way, because it's still suppressed, right? Even all these years working through my trauma, it's still protecting me by suppressing very specific circumstances and situations that I've been through, and it comes out in a different way.
That's interesting. But another thing about this dream world is that, even though you don't remember, your spirit actually leaves your body every night to go to the spiritual dimension. And that's where you're being tormented by these spirits. So in that, yeah, and in that dimension, some interesting things have happened to me, good and bad, right?
Wow.
So I found out there was this pastor. His name is John Paul Jackson. And John Paul Jackson interprets dreams, or interpreted dreams. He actually died in 2010. But anyway, if you go to YouTube and you type in his name, you can find several shows where he's interpreting dreams.
Interesting.
And the interesting thing about this too, Ashley, is that there's actually 20 categories of dreams.
Oh.
Yes.
My goodness.
So, and
I haven't done, a lot of research or anything on that. So I don't know if it scares me or if it just makes me nervous, but because of the fact that it is an unknown, right? And there are things that come from that don't feel godly, that I just naturally somehow steer clear of those things because it confuses me, right? It's like, okay, is this something that I'm being told by God? Is it a warning? Is it something else? Is it not of God? And I'm just going to not touch it at all.
Well, you'll have a lot of empowerment with this knowledge from John Paul Jackson, because there's 20 categories. And like you just said, there's warning dreams, there's prophetic dreams, and of course, there's dreams that come from the demonic realm as well.
Yeah.
So knowing what category it is, all the symbols in your dreams will give you power in that dimension to be more conscious about what you're going through in that dimension. And you can actually you can actually rebuke what you're being confronted with.
I was just thinking, basically use it as a shield. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. So I think that, if people that are going through these conditions have this information, they can get free.
Oh, I love that. Knowledge is power. And I believe in that wholeheartedly, no matter what you do. And I've had these very strong thoughts about that for a really long time.
Have you?
And I do. I think that so many people suffer financially, spiritually, professionally, personally, all of it, because they don't have the right knowledge. And when you do, you feel empowered, you feel protected, you feel that you can do anything that you need to in order to live the life that you should be living. And I absolutely believe that we should empower more people with educational value for their own person.
Yes, absolutely. So Ashley, tell me about Free Skin Company and Ivory Gold. What do you do for women to empower them?
So it's a really interesting journey that I've been through with both companies. And Brianna Doe, who is on LinkedIn, she's incredible about empowering job seekers that are newer in their careers. She just started a website for creatives to contribute their stories and what they do, how they've done it, and just really fantastic interview questions, honestly. What makes you tick is what it's called. And it just launched on, what's today? So it launched on the 19th or the 20th of this month. And I was really honored to be one of the very first contributors to this new brand. And a lot of the questions that she asked me were around, why did you develop these two companies? They seem very different, right? One is skincare with a mental health mission. The other is business and marketing consulting. And where have you come from that? And how have you gotten to where you are? Did you know what you wanted to do? How are you, you have this voice of empowerment. Are you focused on women? Are you focused on survivors? Like who is your focus? And it's been a long journey to figure that out, honestly. Naturally, I've always really been attracted to empowering other women as a person, not even just in their career through the leadership opportunities that I've had, or, owning businesses and being able to hire women. No offense to you men, but I will always go after hiring a woman before I think about hiring a man, no matter how good you are at what it is that you do. I have this just thing deep in my gut that, especially given my experiences as a woman through abuse, through assault, through PTSD, other mental health issues, suicidal thoughts, into my career being specifically like straight up told, no, you cannot have this promotion or this job because you are a woman. No, you cannot have this raise because you are a woman, even though I am running the company or I am the one doing all of the work. I can't be face fronting because I am a woman. Things like that have just really ticked me off throughout my career. And I haven't necessarily shown it in those moments, but it's fueled so much of me to naturally be attracted to and attract other women through my storytelling and my content and my missions that I'm really focused on. Free Skin Co., the main target for Free Skin Co. is not to sell face care products to someone with sensitive or acne prone skin, even though that's what the products are made for. Our main target audience is to enhance the lives of survivors and victims of sexual abuse, sexual assault, trauma, and PTSD, more specifically women, the majority of the time, through our self-care packs for survivors program, where those self-care packs are being deployed directly to teens at the hospital during their accompaniment, right after their assault and their trauma happens. And just naturally going back to women, because I want to help me. I want to help the person that I was in the past as a 9-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 21-year-old being assaulted or a 27-year-old trying to commit suicide, or, even me now as a 35-year-old mom, like giving and sharing the tools and the things that I wish I had in the beginning, business, financial, spiritual, professional, whatever it is, holistically, so that wherever someone is at in their story, I know that I can help at least one person on any point in that timeline, even if they're older than me, because I've done the work and I just want to share what's worked for me to become successful to the point that I am at any point in my life. So it's just naturally, women, like, we deserve the empowerment in so many ways. And we've unfortunately oppressed our own opportunities naturally through history. And I don't want to do that anymore.
That's so wonderful what you're doing. So what do you do through Ivory Gold?
Ivory Gold, it started out initially as a business and marketing consultancy. My background is in marketing and business operations, brand management, really setting the foundational goals of a new business or rebranding a business that's been around for a while, helping them to kind of get brand continuity internally and externally with a new or similar audience that they've been working with, and understand how to communicate properly in order to build relationships and then leverage their communications opportunities through their people or through their brand in order to increase revenue. So that is done through lots of different services, right? Anything from brand strategy to marketing strategy, business strategy, CRM strategy, implementation, management, anything that's needed for a business to thrive in a more simple manner. Beginning now, actually, I've been going through a rebrand. The last few months, I've been really heads down, honed in on me and what really drives me. And while I love helping small businesses and solopreneurs in general, and there's definitely industries that I cling to, I'm never fully happy and satisfied with what it is that I'm doing as far as purpose goes. And I've kind of ignored this super loud voice in my head for years now, telling me, like, you're a woman, you need to focus on women. You're a woman, you need to focus on women. Why don't you give what you wish you had and help others succeed easier? Because you have simplified the process in easy steps so they could go to market faster and be successful quicker. And I'm at this point now where I'm going through a rebrand to focus solely on women with anything that I go to market on. Not that I won't help a man, but like, I'm not sexist, guys. Not that I won't help you, but I'm not targeting you. You are not my target audience.
It's all good. I get it.
But Ivory Gold is really pushing forward to help female founders, female entrepreneurs, women who just, maybe they want a side hustle. Maybe they want to form a passive source of income, and giving them the tools to do that without thinking that they need all of this time in the world. Because unfortunately, as women, we naturally give all of our time to others because we're caretakers by nature. We always come last. And my mission is to teach other women that you do not have to set anyone else aside in order to get what you need. You just need to learn better time management and your value and your worth. And with that worth comes a brand that I am so excited to be launching called The Worthy Woman. And it's not necessarily a totally new brand with a different mission. It's just a representation of me. It's my avatar, so to speak. And the worthy woman is going to be bringing what I do with Ivory Gold in business and holistically giving solutions to business. And what I do with Free Skin Co. and giving holistic solutions to all encompassing personal care and mental health. And the worthy woman, who is me, is the brand that's going to bridge the gap between these two solutions that so many people naturally think should be kept separate, right? We always think business is business, personal is personal, but the truth is that business is personal. And the
Right.
two, they do intertwine. And, we don't live a linear life. And you shouldn't have to compartmentalize who you are. You can do and be a multitude of things. And if I can give the tools as the worthy woman of a podcast that goes through my stories and things that I've been through that were hard, wins, how I got there, the ways that I think, situations that I've been through as a woman, a teen, a child, a mom, a daughter, a family member, a friend, a business owner, an employee in corporate, in small business, being able to share all of these stories through this brand that's going to bridge the gap and then provide solutions through a community where women have a safe place to go, whether you have a trauma story in your background or any of these other titles that I know I also relate to that I just named. It's going to be a safe space for us to go to be able to talk and learn and grow and support, because when women support other women, we change the world. And I want to do that.
That is phenomenal. So, I'm going to join forces with you as well. I want to promote you and do whatever I can to make people aware that this exists. I mean, people need it.
You.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate that so greatly. It's something that it really comes from my heart. And it's interesting because I have a lot of coffee chats with people. I love meeting new people. I love just understanding why people think the way that they do. That for me is totally driven from my trauma, right? Not being heard, not being listened to, being oppressed, being suppressed, being right, like being quieted down. So I have this just obsession with getting to know why people think the way that they do, why they make their decisions. And I have a lot of coffee chats, and I would say 10 out of 10 times, people get on a coffee chat with me and they're like, so part of the reason I wanted to meet with you, because I wanted to see if you really are who you say you are.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think pretty much every conversation I've had is either that or, okay, so this is a really good conversation and you're so, welcoming and genuine, and you really are who you say that you are on social media. And it's because that's me, right? I don't want to be a different person, and I want to encourage other people to be their authentic, genuine self and be fearless about it and leverage that to their abilities.
Awesome. So Ashley, to be part of this community, they can find you on either website, right? So what are your two websites?
So for the skincare line, it is thefreeskinco.com. There will be a link provided in the menu coming up very soon where you can simply click on that and choose to join the community. The same with Ivory Gold. We're going through a complete overhaul on the website right now. And once that's launched, it'll be the same thing. So no matter where you go, it'll also be on my LinkedIn and my other social media, right? I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, but I have a link tree within all of those where there will be a link to the community, and the community will start as a free community for you to come as a safe place, like I said, for whatever it is that you need. There will be workshops offered around mental health, around motherhood, around being a woman and leveraging your femininity to be successful in business and in life. There will be business workshops for current entrepreneurs or upcoming entrepreneurs. And then there will be a paid community in the coming months as well, where if you do decide to subscribe to that, you get additional one-on-one time with me. You get additional workshops that would normally be $500, $600, $700. It's a part of your membership. There's programs and other things that people pay $10,000 for to have with me, that it will be a very small fraction of the price. There's going to be a marketplace so that you can get what you need for your personal health, your mental health, your business health, your financial health, your family health. There will be solutions available to buy and for free within the marketplace on the community as well.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I'm stoked. It's
Yeah.
everything I wish I had access to all in one place.
Awesome. So, Ashley, I will definitely have those links here on this program. Thank you so much for being on this interview. Yes, thank you. This was a pleasure. I know that my audience is going to get so much value from this. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it so much. Have an amazing day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Victory Circle Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel.